city that has one of the 7 wonders of the world. It's known for its fountains and is the famous place that the Lizzie McGuire movie was set in. Welcome to Rome.
Guys, it's just gone 6 AM. We've just arrived at the Trevi Fountain and there's at least like 60 to 80 people here already. It's wild.
Guys, we are at the Trevi Fountain, made famous by the Lizzie McGuire movie. Just kidding, but in all seriousness, for most people my age, it was made famous by the Lizzie McGuire movie. I was actually doing research last night on the Trevi Fountain, and this like pretty legit looking website actually listed the Lizzie McGuire movie as one of the movies that made this such a well-known site here in Rome. Can't argue with that. Guys, as expected, tourist season here at the Trevi Fountain is in full swing. We got here at 6 AM and it was pretty busy. I know it gets way busier than this, but it's now 6:25 and seriously the crowds are building by the minute. It's absolutely crazy. Can only imagine what it's like here in the middle of the day.
Did you guys know that on average every day 3,000 euro is thrown into the fountain? Now, some people wish for love, some people wish for an Italian stallion like Paolo. I'm not going to tell you what I'm wishing for. It probably isn't going to work because I'm throwing in the least amount that you can, but here we go. That was such a pathetic throw.
Construction ran from 1732 to 1762, and the name La Fontana di Trevi is actually derived from the meaning of 3 roads, as 3 roads came together to meet here at the Trevi Fountain. Now, most people would know that the tradition here at the Trevi Fountain is to throw a coin into the fountain. Now, apparently you're meant to throw with your right hand over your left shoulder. I don't think either of us did that, but according to like legend, if you throw 1 coin into the fountain, you are destined to return to Rome. If you throw 2 coins into the fountain, you will find love in Rome, and if you throw 3 coins into the fountain, you will marry your love. So I think Rosh threw 2. Who knows what that means for me? I threw 1, so I guess I'm coming back to Rome someday. You may also be wondering what happens to the thousands and thousands and thousands of coins that are thrown into the Trevi Fountain every day. So very, very frequently the municipality of Rome come out, they clear all the coins out of the fountain and it is all donated to charity. So that's a really great way to kind of use all the coins that are in the fountain. Obviously it has to get cleaned out because they would just build up to no end. So it's a very good way to use the coins that are thrown into the fountain. As I briefly mentioned before as well, while the Trevi Fountain is obviously a very famous site, its fame has grown due to its appearance in many movies, including La Dolce Vita, Angels and Demons, and my personal favourite, the Lizzie McGuire movie.
So guys, I learned an interesting story when I was researching the Trevi Fountain. Now apparently the architect, when the construction was going on, the architect had a bit of an argument with a nearby barber who owned a barbershop very close to the fountain. He was unhappy with all the construction noise and thought that it was driving away business. Now the architect was really unhappy with this unpleasant interaction, so much so that he actually ended up putting a specific structure in the fountain so that when you stand directly in front of the fountain looking at its center, there's this like cauldron type thing that's strategically placed so that it blocked the view of the barbershop that used to be there. I thought that was pretty interesting. Guys, not sure if Stace told you or not, but we watched the Lizzie McGuire movie last night to really get in the mood. Stace is continuing on with that tradition as we stand here at the Trevi Fountain, currently listening to the Lizzie McGuire soundtrack. Wow. Ah, Rome, what a magical place where you can eat your body weight in pizza and pasta, find your doppelganger and sing on stage at the Colosseum, or even get engaged in front of the Trevi Fountain, which is what we just saw happen. Pretty cute. Although I do prefer the whole like making your partner jump out of a plane, completely amazing race themed type of proposal. If you would like to see that, let's put it up here.
Guys, listening to the song Volare by Vitamin C from the Lizzie McGuire movie at the Trevi Fountain will change your life. It just like puts you in the movie, has all the feels. I'm now making Rosh listen to it. Is it changing your life?
No.
It is. Come on, did it change your life? Do you recommend to everyone?
I recommend it.
I do it. Guys, we also just saw this couple get engaged here, but it's really funny because he like proposed Everyone cheered. She put the ring on, and then it was like, quick, grab the bag before someone takes it. When in Rome. While coming here early also helps beat like the worst of the crowds. Rome's also in a bit of a heat wave at the moment, so it's meant to be 39 degrees Celsius today. So coming out early has definitely helped because it's actually quite comfortable at the moment. I think I walked past a sign that said it was 27 on our way here, but given it's been mid-30s for the last like week or two of our trip, 27 actually feels really nice. So we're going to enjoy it while we can before it hits its peak later today.
And on the topic of hot weather, in such conditions it can be tempting to jump into a body of water such as the Trevi Fountain. However, I read that it's at least a €500 fine, which our budget does not cover. Okay guys, it is 7:30 in the morning, and as you can see behind me, it's getting pretty busy. So if you are planning on coming to Italy and also to see the Trevi Fountain, get here as early as you can. Get here as soon as it becomes daylight, because we got here at 6 AM, about 100 people. Well guys, the Trevi Fountain definitely does not disappoint. It definitely lives up to the hype. It's such a nice spot to just kind of sit there, appreciate its size and beauty. It's a good spot to people watch too, until the crowds get a little bit too much. But definitely, even if you only have a day in Rome, you've got to go to the Trevi Fountain. And now we are on to our next destination.
Guys, so Rome is the capital city here in Italy, and some interesting facts about Rome. So it was the first city in the world to hit a population of 1 million. Pretty crazy considering, you know, the countries and cities that have the biggest populations now. But it's also the only city in the world to have a country inside it. That country being the Vatican City. It's a pretty interesting fact. Hopefully that's true. I did read it online, so don't hold me to it, but it's definitely a very beautiful city with obviously a rich history and a rich culture, a lot of beautiful buildings and architecture.
Guys, we have made it to the Pantheon.
Now, the Pantheon is apparently the monument with the greatest number of records. It is the best preserved, it has the biggest brick dome in the history of architecture, and it is considered the front runner of all modern places of worship. Now, the Pantheon, when it was built, was quite revolutionary and actually represented a bit of a cultural revolution. So traditionally temples like this were built only for priests and people like that, but this was the first one that was built for public use. Now the name Pantheon comes from two Greek words being pan and theon. Pan meaning everything and theon meaning divine. The location of the Pantheon was also not chosen by chance. According to Roman legend, it is the place where the founder of Rome, Romulus, was taken away by an eagle to rejoin the gods.
So guys, the massive Pantheon behind me was originally built between 25 and 27 BC, and then in 80 AD they had to rebuild it after a fire, and then they had to rebuild it again after it was hit by lightning, which caused another fire. They rebuilt it for a final time, which is its present state right now, making it thousands of years old. And it's pretty special and unique because it combines a Roman structure and the outer has some pretty clear Greek inspiration. It is definitely reminding me of the Parthenon, which is obviously at the Acropolis in Athens. If you haven't seen that video, I'll pop it up there for you. That was a really hot day, but this is definitely giving me similar vibes. Now the only way that you can see the dome is from the inside. Now they don't open until after 9 AM and it's currently around 7:30. Also they have pretty strict dress regulations because it's a church. I think you have to cover your shoulders and your knees. Now given that it's going to be almost 40 degrees today, we definitely have not covered our knees. Stace has not covered her shoulders. Unfortunately we will not be going inside the Pantheon today.
Okay guys, we are leaving the Pantheon in our wake and moving on to stop number 3.
Guys, we have made it to the Spanish Steps, all 135 of them. These are arguably the most famous stairs in the entire world. These are yet another must-see monument in Rome. Interestingly, they were not originally called the Spanish Steps. I don't think the Italians refer to them as the Spanish Steps. They actually call them or refer to them as La Scalinata. I think the reason why we call them the Spanish Steps these days is due to the fact that the Spanish embassy is over there and the square that sits at the bottom of the stairs is called Piazza La Spagna. and I believe that translates to the Spain Square, and therefore I think that's how we now refer to them as the Spanish Steps. So these stairs date all the way back to 1725, and they took 2 years to make. And at the bottom of the stairs there is an interesting fountain. I read up a little bit on this fountain. It's in the shape of a boat, and I think it's because back in the day, particularly in the 16th century, there were a lot of floods in Rome. There was a particularly bad flood at one stage, and as a result of that flood, a boat ended up here in Piazza di Spagna, and the fountain at the bottom of the stairs kind of replicates that in the shape of a boat sitting at the bottom of the stairs. Stace has just suggested that maybe it is pronounced Piazza di Spagna, not Spagna, and that is my real Australian accent coming out there. Apologies. Spagna. And all the way at the top of the stairs, all 135 of them, there is a church, and I believe the stairs are dedicated to the Holy Trinity, so the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And if we move a little bit away from the Spanish Steps, just to the left, we can see Babington's tea shop. I've read about this online. It's just an interesting story. So it was established in 1893 by 2 English women. They put all their savings together, or £100, to create this tea shop, and it was a bit of a risk because back then I don't think a lot of Italians drank tea. I think in fact back then it could only be sold in pharmacies for some reason. However, it all worked out because here we are, 2023, and it's still thriving. That is the Spanish embassy right behind me here in Piazza di Spagna. And guys, this monument of the Virgin Mary right behind me is bringing me back to Munich a few weeks ago, where there is a monument kind of similar to it. If you haven't seen those videos, bum, 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 up there. That was a weird sound effect. And interestingly, you are not allowed to sit on any of the Spanish steps. In fact, if you do so and you get caught, you could be hit with a fine up to €400. What? Alright guys, our next stop is a little bit of a sweet one. We have come to Pompi, which is known for the best tiramisu in all of Rome, and apparently you can pretty much ask any Roman and they would agree with that. I'm gonna give it a go. It's very close to the Spanish Steps. It's about like a 200-meter walk just around the corner from the Spanish Steps. So it turns out they have a lot of different flavors. I've just gone with the classic. Let's give it a go. It's heavy. It's hefty, heavy. It's a large amount. It was €5. That's good. I don't eat a lot of tiramisu. The last tiramisu I had was at a friend's engagement party. Her brother is a patisserie chef, a very good one at that, and it was some pretty good tiramisu, so this has to live up to it, and I have to say it does. Jonathan, you've got competition. Guys, it is starting to feel like we are doing a Lizzie McGuire inspired walking tour, because of course we started off at the Trevi Fountain, and now we are walking through what seems to be a very expensive shopping district. Now I only know this because we just watched the movie last night, so it's not like I know every single scene that happens, but in the movie Paolo takes Lizzie to one of the most expensive shopping streets in all of Rome to pick out her outfit for of course the performance at the Colosseum, and I feel like this is where she did that.
My turn. Only one option. You guys, we are on our way to somewhere pretty special. Wait, hold on. Is this thing working? It's on. Guys, we have made it to one of the 7 wonders of the world, the Colosseum. Let's go have a look inside.
Guys, we have made it inside the Colosseum and we're currently wandering around the 2nd level. I think our tickets were about €19 each. So far, it's pretty cool, very busy and very hot today, but it is an incredible place to come and see for yourself. Whoa! Did you know that the stone that makes up the Colosseum is the same stone that makes up the Trevi Fountain? Wow! She knew because I told her that already. So the exact number of people that the Colosseum could hold back in the day is debated, but the range is between at least 40 to 70,000 people, which is pretty incredible.
And guys, just over there, that's actually where Lizzie McGuire famously performed the song What Dreams Are Made Of. Absolute classic performance of all time.
That's actually what made the Colosseum famous.
I can't even say it that loud. And you guys, while the Colosseum is obviously famous for the many battles that took place here between gladiators and animals and all things like that, apparently it is a bit of a misconception that these were these very murderous, bloody battles. Gladiators and the animals were properties and assets of very rich people who definitely didn't want their assets to be killed. So it's more likely they were a little less murderous and bloody than we are led to believe through movies. However, those famous battles most definitely did take place here. It's interesting as well, the animals and the people before they would battle would be kind of underground, and they would be winched up through a system, and so that's how they would kind of be revealed to the crowd here at the Colosseum. So it's crazy how old the Colosseum is, and already that sort of kind of engineering was already at place. Well, I'm sure the way we would winch people up nowadays would be a bit more mechanical and automatic. It's still pretty cool to see kind of or hear about the origins of that. Guys, this is my second wonder of the world that I've visited. I have been to the Great Wall of China, none of the other ones. This is Rosh's first, but she has been here before. I wonder how many other wonders of the world we might hit up during our 1 year of travel.
So guys, something I didn't know until I came here to the Colosseum is that back in the day when it was actually in use, it wasn't called the Colosseum. If you'd said the word Colosseum, people would have been like, what? It was actually named after the emperor of the time who built the Colosseum, and it was called Flavian Amphitheatre. But I think Colosseum's just got a better ring to it. I don't know, let me know what you think.
Considering its size, it's pretty crazy that it only took about 8 to 10 years to build the Colosseum, and at the time it was actually kind of a pinky beigey colour because it was actually painted, so not quite the, I guess, brown, more of like brick undertones that we see today. So I imagine it probably looked pretty different back then when it was first built. Guys, we're now down here on level 1, and you can see a little bit more clearly the kind of underground system, which is where the gladiators and the animals would have been lifted out of. So it's pretty cool. It's surprisingly pretty well intact. You can see like kind of archways and doorways and things like that. Guys, there is one more thing to do before we leave the Colosseum, a very important thing. It was just like Lizzie was actually here performing. I could just feel every second of the performance.
Guys, we have made it to Palatine Hill, just a short walk outside of the Colosseum. I read up a little bit. My understanding is that back in ancient Rome was one of the most desirable neighbourhoods. It's where everybody wanted to live, and it's actually home to Europe's first ever botanical gardens as well, I believe.
Guys, one of the things I'm really loving about Rome is that there are water taps everywhere, and it's not just water, it's like cold water. We brought reusable drink bottles with us. Obviously we'd much rather use them than use plastic water bottles, but when we're out and about, what we found in other cities is that we drink them very quickly, and then there are no taps anywhere, and we don't want to go back to the accommodation to refill them, so we end up having to buy water anyways. Whereas in Rome, it is great. There are these taps everywhere, perfectly good drinking water, and nice and refreshing.
So guys, back in ancient Rome, there was a legend related to Palatine Hill in that there used to be a man-eating, fire-breathing monster that was terrorizing the town. And the legend goes that Hercules took that monster down, kind of saved Palatine Hill, which I thought was pretty cool. And guys, in my opinion, the coolest thing about Palatine Hill is the view of the Forum that it gives you. And guys, when you come to the Roman Forum, make sure that once you're kind of inside, you turn to the right and you can follow up these like steep marble steps. You walk a little bit and then you get the coolest view of the Colosseum. You're just that little bit higher, that bit further away from it, that you can really see all of its glory. Guys, we're now walking through the Roman Forum. Now back in ancient Rome, this was the city centre. This is where everything happened.
Now, unlike the Colosseum, which is largely intact due to sections of it being rebuilt over the years and maintained, the Forum is majority just ruins. So we're really walking through what remains, and I believe even as recent as 2020 they were still kind of archaeologists were still kind of discovering new parts of the Forum.
You're probably wondering like, wow, that was a pretty epic fact that Stace just stated. She stole it. She stole my fact.
Yeah, and yes, we've swapped hats back.
If you are coming to the Colosseum or the Roman Forum, bring your walking shoes. There is a lot of ground to cover.
And guys, all the way up there, that's where we were standing when we were at the top of Palatine Hill. Pretty crazy. Guys, we have picked up some dinner, very early dinner for Rome, but we're from Australia, so early dinner for us. We went to Pastificio Guerra, which is a little TikTok famous. It's known for having kind of the best bang for your buck pasta here in Rome, so if you are on a budget, apparently this is the place to go to. It was €4.50 each, so €9 for both of us. Essentially, you go inside and you don't really know what there is until you get inside. When we went in, there were two options. I'm not sure if maybe earlier in the day there were more options, but there was a vegetarian version and a version with pork. Now, again, we're early, 6 p.m, so I'm wondering if maybe in kind of a dinner session if they put out a few more, but for €4.50, apparently it's pretty good pasta, so we're very excited to try it. And it's literally like 200 meters away from the Spanish Steps and opposite the place Rosh got our tiramisu from yesterday, so very good location, easy, and apparently when it opens at 1 p.m, the line is right down the street. Looks pretty good. This, I think, is like a carbonara. Pretty good, I have to say. For €4.50, I am not complaining.
That's pretty good. Yeah? Yeah. Off camera, I was complaining to Stacey that there was no Parmesan cheese. This doesn't need it.
She was also complaining because she thought, one, I was taking her to like a sit-down restaurant, and two, she thought she'd get to kind of like order what she wants. So she was complaining a little bit, and I said, for €4.50, you kind of take what you get. But I think this is pretty good. I think we've not discovered it, but whoever discovered it has found a pretty good spot for people traveling on a budget. Okay guys, if you are looking for the pasta place, steps that way, turn to the left, and I believe it's 2 streets up on the left. You'll see it on the left of that street pretty quickly. Can recommend.
Guys, let me demonstrate what a difference time of day can make. Present time, 6:30 p.m. compared to
guys, we have stumbled across this place not too far from the Trevi Fountain that serves all the different lemon gelatos in an actual lemon. So it's definitely a novelty, but it had a pretty big line, so I'm expecting it to be good. The creamy one's pretty good. So they had all different lemon flavors, so I think our bottom one's like a lemon sorbet, so pretty classic. We've then got this like creamy lemon one, but they also had, I think, lemon cheesecake, a limoncello, there was like this chocolatey lemon one. Just all things lemon. If you like lemon, that place is for you.
The lemons that they serve it in are cut like right in front of you, super fresh, and it was €6, so a little bit steep, but you get 2 flavors and it's a huge serving. They taste delicious. It's the best lemon sorbet I've ever had in my life.
They also juice it, and then the juice they themselves fresh lemonade. So actually all the lemon is getting used.
We really like this place. Safe to say we enjoyed that. That was one of the best things I've eaten on the trip in our 6 weeks so far. I loved it. Highly recommend. You got to get it, especially when you come to the Trevi Fountain. Yes, it's €6. It's so close. Magnifique. Alright guys, Trevi Fountain is up next. It is currently 8:30 at night. Crazy busy. And whilst we definitely recommend coming to the Trevi Fountain as early as you can to avoid the crowds, you kind of have to come at night as well because look at it. Guys, it is our last day in Rome. We have wandered to Piazza del Popolo, which is this huge space. We just happened to find it. We went looking for it. We're gonna wander around and then hopefully get some gelato. Yes! So, I've done a bit of research. Piazza del Popolo literally translates to the People's Square. And it is a very popular square here in Rome, one of the most popular squares because it's so close to a lot of the main streets. It has a bit of a dark history in more ways than one. Way back when, around 68 AD, the emperor at the time, he died, And at the time, this place was like this big forest, I believe, and they buried his body under this huge oak tree. Now after that, legend has it is that that area became like crazy haunted. It was a cursed place, and it was causing so much trouble among the people that the Pope had to get involved because the Roman people were asking for the place to be exorcised. So the Pope organised the Emperor's body to be exhumed and then burned, and his ashes were scattered into the river, all of which resulted in the place no longer being cursed and all was well. That was until they started publicly executing people here in the square, which didn't stop until 1826. So, very interesting history. Right behind me, that is a super old obelisk. Now, it wasn't always here. It was moved from its original location, and it is thousands of years old because it was brought to Rome in 10 BC. How are there so many old things in Rome?
And guys, something else to be mindful of in Rome and more broadly in Italy is meal time. So a lot of places will close their kitchens at about 3 p.m. and reopen again at around 6. And one big reason for this is there is somewhat of a cultural tradition here in Italy which is called the Aperitivo, which essentially is kind of a pre-dinner drink, but it is a lot more than that. It is a cultural tradition in Italy, and it is said to open up the stomach before you eat your dinner. So something to be mindful of if you are a late eater, a late lunch eater. You either have to come a bit earlier or wait for dinner. Guys, we've come across the river to La Romana to get some gelato. I googled best gelato places in Rome and this one was up there. It was very, very busy, which is always a good sign. Flavors were all in Italian though, so it's still a lot of Google translating. But we've gone with mango, banana, and this salted caramel with pecans. So very excited. All the ice creams had the lids on, which as we said before is always a good sign, so very excited. Guys, I have to say I think this mango gelato is the best gelato I've had yet. It already trumped yesterday's. It's like creamy but only in texture, so it doesn't taste like a creamy mango flavour. It's like a mango sorbet flavour, but the texture is so creamy and smooth. It's amazing. Banana is a bit more unique. We got the banana on a recommendation, not necessarily specific to this place, but just that we should try banana gelato. I probably like it a bit more than Roche, but I'm not sure if I would get it again. Salted caramel, pretty good. Don't know why everyone's got to ruin things by putting nuts in them, but the flavour is very good. We got the medium size, it was €3.50, and you got 3 flavours. So I feel like that's probably the best value we've gotten yet. So I'm pretty impressed. Come across the river, get some gelato from La Romana.
Guys, I feel like we've said this every day in Rome, but that was the best gelato I've ever had in my life. And I think that says a lot about Rome in that there is no such thing as bad gelato from our experience. Go nuts. But don't put nuts in the gelato because that makes it taste mad.
And one final note on Rome and public transport. So obviously if you catch the train, there are ticket machines at the stations. Sometimes they're not working, but if they aren't working, or if you'd prefer, you can tap through the gates using a credit card. Obviously if there are multiple people, you need multiple cards. You can't use the same cards. So that's fairly easy. But something to be aware of is the buses. So I believe as of this year actually, they were beginning to roll out tap and go systems on the buses, so you can just tap your credit card. We've been on quite a few buses and we haven't seen one once, so I think it's not fully widespread yet, and there is no other way to buy a ticket on the bus. So something to be aware of, you can buy bus tickets from tobacco shops, news stalls, at the metros and things like that. But what we found most helpful is this app that we downloaded called, it's like MooneyGo, but it's got two or three O's. So if you Google,
MooneyGo.
It's like MooneyGo, but that was helpful. You did need to put in a number and receive a text to get it set up. We were able to just put in a family member's number back home, they sent us the code, and you are able to buy tickets through that very easily. So we do recommend that. Something else to be aware of is you do need to validate your ticket before using public transport. So if you do use the app, you do have to go into the app and activate your ticket. If you don't, it essentially doesn't count as having a valid ticket and you can get fined. So something to be aware of, make sure you do your research. But overall, it's been pretty easy going for us public transport wise.
And just like that, our Rome video is finished at the place we started at, a much busier Trevi Fountain. We hope you enjoyed this video. We really enjoyed making it. We hope we showed that you can do Rome and you should do Rome even if it's on a budget. We're doing this for 12 months, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can join us. We would love that.
We're off to our next Italian city tomorrow. We'll see you there.
Bye!